So welcome to Reblanded number 2, aka
Yeah.
Four
God damn
Nerds
it.
Save the Universe
God damn it.
number 2. I mean,
That's
is
okay,
it that
Keith.
much better
Naming.
than Smegcast?
I never agreed to that.
There was
I
no
only
G in
humored it.
there.
Oh,
There was-
right, it's a Smeg.
If you put a G if you put the G at the end of it, it's just the Hobbit. It's
That's
just the
true.
dragon.
It's a smile.
Yeah.
Ow.
And that
Smeg?
joke was already run into the ground by Red Letter Media. They spent the entire review just doing that exact voice of his name
Oh.
over and over again. We're not, just so we're clear, we're never even vaguely original. All of our jokes are stolen, intentional or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
We're bad at
Huh.
this.
I mean,
I don't
hell,
feel
we
good
stole
about myself
Birdcatcher.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. I just searched Smaug on Google image search, and I came up with the image of him from the old Lord of the Rings cartoon or Hobbit cartoon,
Yeah.
and he looks like Snarf.
I haven't seen this.
He's got like a fuzzy
Smaug
face. And I wasn't ready
cartoon.
for that.
Oh.
That's an accidental aside.
So you've never seen the original Hobbit movies?
Not since I was very young.
I saw them when I was super duper little, and
Are
As
we
a-
talking
they
about
were
the
dumb.
animated
They-
ones?
we're
Yeah.
talking about the 1970s Ralph Bakshi.
As a kid, I hated
movie.
it. I only wanted to watch.
No, I found
I only
if you
ever.
Google cartoon Smaug and look at like entry number 4, you wind up on DeviantArt, and
Wow, it looks like a cat.
Yeah. They definitely... Oh, yeah, I remember this now.
Looks like a cat.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
that-
actually pretty okay with that appearance. I thought there was something weird about
It's something.
the more recent
Yeah.
Hobbit one.
It looks like something
it
you'd
does
see
look
in the
very
labyrinth.
cat-like.
Oh, Keith, I apologize. You're going to have to use your audio for like
You
the
fuck.
first 2 minutes of this. Don't worry
Again?
about it.
Just
It's fixed.
if you look at cartoon Smaug from DeviantArt, he looks like a wrinkly hot dog.
Oh no. As
Don't
a
Like
worry
a
kid,
about
hot dog from 7-Eleven that like hasn't been bought for like a week and a half.
for some reason, as a kid, I never liked the Hobbit
Okay.
cartoon at
Seriously?
all. Like, I only enjoyed the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings one.
Now that I think about it, I don't know
Um,
if I have seen the Hobbit one. I may have only seen the Lord of the Rings one. Yeah, I don't remember that, Smog.
Yeah.
The Hobbit's not
All
one.
right. So shall we get into some of our topics for today?
Shall we? Or-
Oh.
Is Chelle gonna like
I see.
hawk her stuff now?
I assume
Yeah.
she is in the
However-
background right
however-
I will just show them.
Keith, I'm going to do a horrible thing now. I'm covering
Oh
recording.
god. Now what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Wander? Are we gonna have technical issues in both of
Already?
the two podcasts?
Okay, it's fixed now.
I was
Look,
just going
when your
to
computer
the
blue screens and your entire Scarlet fries in the middle of a podcast, you kind of... Oh god, I'm being attacked
You
by
gotta
dragons.
ease yourself
Okay.
down and only have minor technical problems in the subsequent
Yeah.
5 podcasts.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Otherwise,
It's
you'll go cold
okay.
turkey too fast.
Look, you gotta get it out of the way first, and it's like getting sick. It's like it's like a smallpox.
Yeah, you just gotta throw
vaccination,
up a whole
except
bunch
for
at the
you
start of
already
getting
had
sick.
polio.
Wow.
Okay.
If I ever take medicinal advice from you,
Don't.
I
No.
just,
You're gonna die.
Just
You just have
Please
for the
don't,
first
Bird.
and last time.
don't.
I value most of our relationship enough to tell you, please don't.
Most of our. What's the parts
I
that you
respect
don't
you
value?
enough to tell you never listen to me.
I don't appreciate your fake fart noises. They're very unenthusiastic.
Just you put me on the spot. I didn't have time to practice my fart sounds.
Well,
Cute.
What?
okay.
So I've been having a hard time making them.
We were
today.
playing Gmod last night, and I told Bird he needed to start making enthusiastic fart noises, and his performance was lackluster at
But
best.
was it
This is-
enthusiastic?
No.
Oh. Why did you fail
Yeah.
him, Bird?
I don't know.
All he did was ask
I
you
was
to
sick.
force enthusiasm on a moment's notice.
Okay, they're,
I was
they're
just.
gonna go.
I wasn't
On
feeling
their way.
well. I wasn't able to fart as well as I normally can.
What? Your dedicated chair microphone.
I was planning on just taking the microphone into the bathroom and just pooping and doing
No.
that. But then I decided no, I wasn't going to do that.
I mean, considering how much people appreciated it when we were playing Quiplash, I'm sure the toilet humor would have gone over just fine.
That's
true.
too literal. It's too literal. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah. So, do we want to talk about the Eye Sigil, as it's been called, or do we want to talk about like
we
might
could
as well
discuss
talk about the
whatever
ARG.
this is.
Sigil?
Yeah. All right. So, there is a alternate reality game going on right now, and like every other alternate reality game, nobody has a clue what's going on. Usually with ARGs, it's always like some marketing thing. It's always building up to like, we're gonna release this new thing in like 6 months, and like we're gonna release this ARG like a couple months ahead. And we're currently in that phase, right? We can't figure out like what this like weird marketing campaign is like getting at.
Seems to be that's marketing for buying indie games.
Yeah, maybe they're just like trying to advertise like a whole bunch of like, because a lot of these indie games are super obscure.
Okay, that actually gives me a topic for after this one. So
Yeah, sure.
let's
Okay.
hold
Okay.
the segue after. Oh my. Okay.
Okay. So for background,
So what Wander wants to warn us about is that at some point over the next hour, he's going to want to talk about a thing later.
yeah,
No.
we'll
Let's
remember
get done
it.
with the ARG. I want to talk about indie game marketing.
Okay.
Oh
Since
yeah,
I've
we can
been
talk
getting-
about that.
I've been getting a lot of exposure to indie game developers whining about marketing, and it's really
yeah.
familiar.
Yep.
Huh.
Okay.
Anyway, so in January of 2016, apparently, I'm just reading off this image right now. This weird like symbol was put into the game's data files, and they basically have found
Encrypted
that
the
this
Necrodancer.
symbol encrypted the Necrodancer. Did I say that?
No.
I don't remember.
No, no, you just
Okay,
said
for crypt-
the games, and it's like
For
okay.
Crypt of the Necrodancer specifically, they put this weird like sigil, and then people were like, "This isn't used anywhere in the game" or something like that. And then people have been playing a whole bunch of other games to try and find other mentions of it, and they found a bunch. They're up to 15 games now that have this sigil accessible in some way or another.
Can I just say that that's impressive that they've managed to organize 15 games for that? Like, it makes
So-
sense that they probably can do that.
It's not like
Yeah.
the old Wilhelm scream where people just are using it.
No, it seems more coordinated than like an
'cause
inside
they're-
joke, like
they
the
all fit
Wilhelm.
together as one
Yeah.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Ah.
I would
Yeah, so-
suppose that the people behind them probably just all know each other and they're just sort of doing
Yeah,
this little
but
thing
these
as
connections
a,
are
as a
so
laugh.
tenuous, though.
Yeah, but it's probably just one guy has to know a guy, and a lot of indie people
Yeah.
probably have connections just to figure
Yeah,
out how to even
I mean, it makes
survive.
sense.
I imagine that's completely true. I imagine that's the
I
case
know
here.
a ton of YouTubers, and
Yeah.
like I could probably get them to start like to throw like an Illuminati type thing in like a description of a video somewhere.
I
just
mean,
to
yeah.
fuck with people.
I mean, there's already a Discord group we know where half the members are using one person's face and hiding it in their thumbnails.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
Yeah, that's a real thing that's happening already. Who is that?
That
Who's
is
the face again?
funniest thing too. Sir Crest.
Yeah, so Sir Crest shows
That's
up in like
great, Sir
Dragast and Weasel Zone's like thumbnails at random and stuff like that.
I mean, he's made it into two of mine now.
nice,
it's-
nice.
Yeah.
See?
So,
it's not easy. You just
It
need
was
Discord.
first discovered in Crypt of the Necrodancer.
But it seems that
and-
the first case of it might have been Kingdom of Loathing back in 2014.
Yeah, so it's very recently discovered, but it's like old. So Kingdom of Loathing put it in October 2014, apparently.
The overall diagram looks vaguely like a circular maze / electrical
Yeah.
diagram, and no one knows what
So-
it means. But little pieces
Yeah.
of it are hidden in random games where, at some point in the game, you'll find the symbol that looks vaguely like a hand, sort of thing, with
Yeah.
a circle on its palm. And near that, in some way that makes sense in that particular game's case or whatever, there's some kind of puzzle or action to perform that will give you some sort of hint at what that piece of the puzzle is that's in that game. And so far, they found pieces of this diagram that all fit together from 15 different games,
Neat.
Yep.
which is insane.
So
but
Kingdom
also,
of
what
Loathing
is
was
it?
apparently the first one, and Kingdom of
The
Loathing
hand
is
thing
this.
with the spiral though reminds me
It's-
of Mist. Ooh.
It does kind of remind you of Myst, doesn't it? It's super Myst-like.
Because it's just a
Well,
weird thing.
In Uru, there was the hand. You
Exactly.
used it to get waypoints and stuff.
It's like getting
Yeah,
pieces of a puzzle pieces of a solution where we don't even know what the puzzle is yet.
Yep. So
It
like,
stood out to me
Kingdom
just
of
because
Loathing
we
is-
played Moon Hunters a long time ago. Me, Chelle, and Wander. And all three of us ran into this exact thing. It's this weird palm hand statue thing.
Wait, it's in Moonhunters?
Yeah.
Really?
It is in Moonhunters.
We interacted.
2 players
with
have
it.
to perform a pose while standing on the sigil to obtain it.
It was a weird statue-looking thing where we could not figure out what it was or what it did, and we just left ultimately. But it was a weird old like metal-ish looking ruin, like something that almost would fit in with like it would almost fit in with like Hyperlight Drifter or something, and we just had to move on because we couldn't figure out how to activate it. But yeah, that's just there, and so like it's just been showing up in everything. And the most recent one would be Quadrilateral.
Did you just paste it in?
Like Quadrilateral Cowboy just came out like this week, and it's in that apparently, and no one solved it yet. So that's number 15 on an ongoing list of, I don't know, going towards who knows what.
And a lot of these games are really, really pretty obscure. So like Mini Metro is pretty obscure. Yeah, sure. I will paste that into the...
I'll just read it for the audience. So the games in question so far are Crypt of the Necrodancer, Mini Metro, Legend of Dungeon, The Magic Circle, Neon Struct, Moss Speedrun 2, Flickers, Sokobond, Moonhunters, Soda Drinker Pro, Bellalore Hexatosis, Slide the Shakes, Souls of Darkness, Kingdom of Loathing, and Quadrilateral Cowboy. I've heard of 4 or 5 of these.
Yeah.
Sokobond's from the guy that made
sounds funny.
The Chem game, right? Isn't Sokobond from the Infinifactory / Chem thing game guy?
I don't know. I can check.
And then Crypt of the Necrodancer we've all played, I think. Magic Circle is a game about playing through an unfinished game while it's still being developed.
Magic Circle, I think of all of those, Magic Circle and Quadrilateral Lateral Cowboy definitely sound like the most appropriate for this sort of weird shit.
Quadrilateral Cowboy is the newest and I think largest game from somebody who previously made games that you would beat in like 40 minutes, and they were these weird like Quentin Tarantino style odd like silent artsy non-linear like movie games where I don't even know how to explain his last 2 games. And like Kingdom of Loathing's a browser game.
Oh, Draknek. Okay, so this isn't Sokobond isn't a Zachtronics game.
Oh,
so it's not like Space Chem or anything like that.
What have I done?
But like, what the hell is Soda Drinker Pro?
I think I heard it was meta or something. Like it was supposed to be like, it's one of those games like Frog Fractions or Pony or something, where it's like, whoa, crazy happens or something, or like Sonic Dreams Collection. Like it's some brand of like, almost like half YouTube bait, half you won't believe what happens in this game.
Right, so it's basically like an I Am Bread type of thing.
Yeah, but I don't think it took off nearly as much in any direction as that game did originally. Looks like it might have a total of 40 reviews.
Okay.
At first I cringed a little bit because I was worried that it was Soda City.
Oh, no, they don't want to...
But I realized it was not.
Oh, God.
That'd be a hard
we haven't mentioned Soda City, but we should explain why our reactions are intense.
Okay, so quick tangent. Soda City is indie game platformer. Looks awful.
It looks
is awful.
Pretty
Came
awful.
out.
Sounds
I
awful.
want to say about a year ago. On Steam somehow. I guess it got pushed through the greenlight process, probably via key bribery. I don't know.
Probably.
It's a game that's a running joke to YouTubers just because we've all had our inboxes basically spammed by their very aggressive marketing campaign to get people to play it on their channels. But everyone looks at the game and goes, no.
Yeah, I got like 15, 16 keys.
I got less keys than that, but I got like 15 emails, each of which with the same key.
Exactly. And it probably says a lot that everyone in our entire circle knows about this game and has been pestered by this game, but on Steam it has a ground total of 17 reviews.
Oh.
Like no one took the bait. I think I would have only ever taken the bait if I was still doing sad games, basically. Because this is the type of thing that we would just yell at.
Yeah.
It just looks like the type of
you
game
guys did fucking the Seal Club game, so...
Club Smash the Seal.
God, that was awful.
That channel was about playing this kind of bottom-of-the-barrel, like, low-effort indie game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the whole seal thing about? You weren't actually murdering
Sea
lions, were you?
Yep.
That's okay. It was a low-effort, shitty indie game that
Oh,
will
yeah.
never make
It
it
was made
anywhere.
by edgy-ass people who sucked.
It was a really bad 2D game where something that looks like whack-a-mole happened, but little seals would come out and you try to kill them. And their website featured a shocking amount of merchandise, considering no one will ever care about their game, including a thong. And it says,
Yeah,
a
I
thong
know.
that
That,
has
was gross.
it's a thong that has the seal icon coming out of a hole on the front of it, and it says "Smash Here."
It was
I
made by real assholes.
I predict their
Is that
entire
just-
line never sold a single product.
Why would
Probably,
someone want to wear that smash
guess
thing?
Nobody
They're just
wants to wear it.
asking
Yes.
for-
Yeah,
Someone
nobody ever
wanted to
has.
sell it.
Whoa, wait,
Ah.
wait. For some reason, I was assuming that the thong would go on a guy. I should know better. It was clearly meant for a woman. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Think more
Now I get the joke.
objectifyingly.
I was just thinking of like smashing a dude wearing it, and it's like, ouch. And then I'm like,
it's-
oh no, it's
No.
meant for a woman.
That sounds like
As
Japanese
most
daytime
thongs
television.
are. All right.
Japanese daytime.
So,
What?
There's
back
some-
onto the ARG though, because we kind of didn't finish our point after the two tangents. So,
That looks like a transformer.
Well, that's the thing. We don't necessarily have more to talk about. Is the
Talk about
thing.
what-
well, we do because you get these sigils,
That's cool.
and then the sigils also like reveal images or something. Let's see, what is it? The sigil's presence indicates the location of a puzzle, and then if you solve a puzzle in the same proximity as the sigil, you get like this weird image, which you can then put together with all the other images in all the other games, and
Yeah.
it creates like this map.
And that's what I was
And
talking about
nobody
before.
knows
That
what
looks
that
like
map
it looks like a
is.
weird like circular maze / electrical diagram, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
they're
all.
still
That's all we
missing.
have, though.
We're still missing about like 6 or 7 sections of it.
Unless we find
But
out this is
we're-
the core, and it's also like 7 layers longer, and it's actually
Yeah.
500 indie games.
Oh
Keeps
god, that's like
exponentially
You know what?
increasing.
that's like what
You know
Fez
what
was
would-
like. Some of its
Drive
puzzles.
the internet
What if
nuts.
this is announcing Fez 2?
That would be hilarious.
That would
That would
be
be
really funny.
amazing.
What if this
Honestly,
is
I'd lose
Frog
my
Fractions
goddamn
2?
mind.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring us back to.
What if this diagram is
No
Frog
Man's
Fractions
Sky.
2?
You want to go to No Man's Sky?
No.
Yeah,
why?
what if like you get to the center and it's one of them?
One of-
What?
Oh
There's
wow!
nothing at the center of No Man's
Oh.
Sky. They just like
This
put
is a
that
sigil.
Uh-huh.
What if somewhere hidden in the galaxy of No Man's Sky is just a piece of this diagram?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
somebody finds it like 3
Oh
years
my
down the line, and suddenly the entire thing just turns back on. It's like,
But the interesting thing is, like, did they pre-make all the pieces of the diagram and just distribute
Yeah,
it
it
amongst
looks
new
really-
games
it's just
that
some
were
That's
lines.
it?
Absolutely.
it looks too well put together.
It's just some lines
to,
and
like, not-
circles. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah. But like there'd be no way to like have every indie gamer try to come up with their own section because like there's a ton of overlap between a lot of them too. So you get like this circular section and then like there's a lot of overlap between all the circles, so you have like a lot of redundant pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody knows like what these like symbols correspond to. They don't know like what game to do this in. It looks
yeah.
like it looks like a
solution
labyrinth.
that you'd want to do in a specific game.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? I just kind of thought about something because Chelle just made the point to say that it looks like Miss. What if it comes into play
it's
in
like Miss
Abduction?
game.
oh yeah, I could totally see them having like gotten the Cyan Worlds people to
Yeah, could be.
Not even
Yeah.
not even have a piece of it. What if the solution is actually? What if it's actually a solution for a puzzle in Abduction?
or
Because that's
you know what?
missed.
I'm really disappointed. I didn't hear okay. Your game, Keith, the one that you did really well with, Island, missed, like, totally forgot the name of
Witness.
it now. Witness. None of the symbols are in Witness, right?
No.
No.
I don't know. That feels
I
kind of
can't-
like a wasted thing.
Yeah. What if?
I don't
What if
think
when you
that
solve the
developer
puzzle?
would let anybody get into their game.
No. Jonathan Blow won't let you do that.
No.
But what if when we solve the puzzle, the person that solves it gets to be the main character in the next video game by Peter Molyneux.
No, he might get lynched.
For some reason, that just reminds me of wasn't there a character or two in the original Walking Dead that just happened to be winners of some kind of
a number of zombies were.
Yeah,
competition?
lots of zombies.
Well, no, but remember that one lady that actually got... She was a teacher who actually got
You're
torn
thinking
up.
of the game.
Yeah.
The first Walking Dead game, all of the people that helped you get into the school, if I remember right, were people that won a contest, which is actually really nice of them.
But they get torn apart.
Oh yeah, they all die. Of course, it's Walking Dead. What did you expect?
I don't know.
That game does not have a very long list of survivors.
No, it doesn't.
I especially hate it whenever the zombies get someone and they just start tearing their entrails out. Oh, ew.
I mean, it happens sooner or later in the process.
No, I know that. But it's always the first thing. I swear. Whew.
What if this entire puzzle just takes us back to Smash Seal?
Oh god, what if they reformed?
What if the thongs are the key to all of this?
Yeah. Did they just release a thong with a sigil on it?
It's just a big circular diagram, but all the circles are code for Smash here.
Or no, when you put it all together, seals start popping out of the circle somehow, and it's just Smash a seal 2. Confirmed.
Jesus Christ.
No.
What are we anymore?
I'm thinking, what if we went to the GDC and that you saw somebody wearing a thong with the sigil on it, and you went up and had to solve a puzzle with them.
They are the puzzle.
Yes, they're the puzzle, and then they take you into a secret chamber, and you go in and there's a council of Gabe Newell, what's his name from Blizzard? It starts with a P. I don't remember.
I feel like our speculation's primarily explaining the fact that every ARG's conclusion ever has been the most disappointing thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to care about the
ARGs
actual
suck.
answer when it happens, probably. Unless it's actually an abduction, then I might care. But the chances aren't super high.
So the first ARG that I can think of that didn't suck was
watch it be
Halos?
a hidden message.
Halo's the first one people talk about.
Help.
Yeah, the bees one.
Yeah,
I love bees thing.
Bees.
Yeah,
that was a lot of people's introduction to the concept of an ARG.
I've never heard of that one.
It was a hidden message in the Halo 2 trailer that went on for a while and kept hinting at things. I don't remember caring about its result very much, but it was...
No, it was
it involved going to physical
sense.
Locations and calling phones and all this other crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, it was something there was a hidden message in the trailer, and it took you to a website called I Love Bees, and it was supposedly it was supposedly people a hacked site that was I love bees, bees are great, and then you look at the source code and it's everyone must die and stuff like that, and you're oh, there's something weird going on here, and then the game kind of spun out from there. People had to do things go to certain locations to answer payphones at certain times, and
if you go to I Love Bees right now, it says
that.
halt module core hemorrhage. Control has been yielded to the system peril distributed reflex. Countdown to wide awake and physical.
Yeah,
and there's just some massive countdown to some ridiculously far away amount of time. Make your decisions
this
accordingly.
is probably when this is when the Halo is supposed to be haloing. The best
distant
or something.
future.
Yeah, and it looks like there's probably it says mission log and stuff like that. So I assume that this is the credits.
Evade,
who designed
evade.
for the ARG. MIA. Oh, MIA is the credits. This is all the people that were involved in making it. Recruits. These were probably I don't know what the recruits section is. Maybe it's all the people that played.
Yeah, I don't know. It has a weird, itchy, tasty type comment on its page saying shaking, waking.
Yeah. At any rate, there was, oh man. There was a game I'm trying to think about that was released by EA where, like, the ARG wasn't being done for marketing purposes. It was just a game in and of itself. And you had to do things like solve a murder mystery while, like, they were faxing, like, stuff to you with phone numbers. And you would call those numbers and it would say, and there'd be, like, pre-recorded messages being, like, from characters in the game, like, who would talk to you. And it was super duper unpopular because it was extremely clunky. And a lot of people were like, this is dumb. Yeah, it was kind of wasteful of a lot of resources and stuff, too. And it was also really short. You could beat the game in about 45 minutes. And then that predates a lot of this ARG stuff a little bit, like, for marketing purposes. And I guess that probably the people that, like,
I was
really
going to say that
innovated
mostly
on this
doesn't
concept.
sound like what an ARG tries to accomplish.
Yeah, I think that after this game kind of failed, they kind of retooled what they were doing with ARGs and made it into mostly a marketing thing.
Mostly just sounds like an interactive
relatively
phone
successful
call thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
Kinda
call
like that
He-Man
one
on the phone. He'll
No,
say
dude,
buy
it's like
power
that one
or whatever.
It's like that one game from the 90s where you, like, went on dates and you, like, the mystery phone.
Oh, no.
Whoa, what?
Oh, God. Mystery Phone was a board game, like, marketed to women, like, young girls. And it was, like,
Really?
you had to figure out which boy had a crush on you by talking on the phone.
And now they're all dead.
And it was an automated thing?
Yeah,
Or
it was
you're
like, it was like a fake phone that just, like, played, like, sound effects when you press buttons on it. And it'd be like, hey, I'm Chad, and I like you. Or, like, I think you're a really special girl, and stuff like that.
Weird.
You never heard of
Weird,
it?
stop hitting on my fiance.
No.
It's not okay.
Hey, Chelle, I
Clearly
think
it's
you're
not.
a really special girl.
They're trying to boost
Gross.
self-esteem.
Yeah, it was like,
You might as well
I don't
just
know.
play The Middle by Jimmy Eat World over the phone. Just cut out the middleman.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, I've seen it in films before. I forget which one precisely. But there was someone that took up a job being one of these girls who I suppose guys would call just to have smutty conversations with. And that was all that they did. And of course they paid the telephone, whatever service it was, money for, like, the girl's time.
I think that's like a relatively real thing.
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
like,
a real. Have you ever watched TV past,
Yeah.
like, midnight?
you
It's
just
like
watch late 19
real
like,
girls lie.
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
phone sex lines
What?
have been around for forever.
Yeah. That's absolutely a thing.
Yeah.
I used to watch
Remember,
Comedy
this is a show
Central
we're
all the
talking
time in
about.
high school, and if you were just on at, like, midnight to 2 or later, like, all night, it's just like, hey guys, you want to call this number? You can talk to real girls and stuff like that, and it's...
By the end of the
I've actually seen one of those ads
1980s,
before.
nearly
That's-
all of the major local phone companies in the United States, plus the major long-distance characters,
that reminds
were
me?
involved with
Also reminds
adult
me of-
chat lines.
Well, like, here's the creepy thing about that,
how
though, is that
often-
no one buys
Huh.
rent for that. No one buys, like, commercial space for that time of night, except
Yeah.
them, Girls Gone Wild, and Sarah McLachlan puppy commercials. And that's a really fucked up juxtaposition between the two, is like, call real girls in the arms of an angel. It's like talking about, like, Ethiopian kids and puppies dying everywhere, and then and then phone
Right.
sex
Like-
lines.
And then, like, we are 18. We are looking to talk to you. So,
And
but no,
the
you
interesting
never
thing
heard of
is,
this? Wow.
like, watching television, you do see so many commercials aimed towards things akin to Viagra, or just plain, like, Viagra. It's just like, and they always have this woman being like, hey guys, you know, and it's just, it's like, be ready for that special moment. But, like, the ones where they actually have, like, guys hanging out with their ladies doing things like fishing and stuff, like, that I think is all right for those commercials, even though, why those commercials all the
Can we
time?
go back to talking about the ARG?
Okay.
I always got a kick out of the
really
one.
I really don't. I
I
just
Why
does he want to talk about
selective
boner
ladies
pills?
pitching it to
I always got a
guys.
kick out of the
Look,
commercials that would
terrible.
just have literally a series of hands pointing at actual wood. That was imagery
What?
they would
What?
And
use
that stupid,
sometimes.
like, whistling.
Is right
Like,
up there with the one with the guy that had the stupidly wide smile. Whoa, I remember that.
Yeah,
How do I remember
it
that?
had
That's
something.
crazy.
Yeah.
Probably happened during some Super Bowl.
You just taught me how
For goodness
dangerous
sake.
freaking advertising is.
Yeah, really.
Well, yeah, and the themes stick with you for ages. I know that there's one insurance company, or not insurance company, I think they're these crash lawyers, you know, everyone's getting in car accidents nowadays. So they had a different phone number, but because of the jingle, I remember their old phone number rather than their new phone number, which is strictly one number across the board. So I still remember the weird mixed up mangled system of numbers, but the new one just doesn't fit with the jingle. Just doesn't.
Like the car insurance
I
commercials?
have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry.
So
You talking about like the
You know
like
how
the
they're-
indie band that would do like a song for each commercial about like their car insurance or
Oh,
whatever?
those guys. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man.
And so there would be a jingle associated with it, and they would sing the phone number to call.
That's
Except
right.
Since they've had that, they had been able to somehow buy out a phone number that had just one number going across, like 77777, you know?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But it just, I remember the jingle, so I remember the old number, and it's just like, why do I know this? Why? There's also a jingle for every single like mattress or home improvement store, and yeah, it's on television, and it gets to you. Do you know what's one thing I don't see anymore? Kids' toy commercials.
It's because you don't watch Cartoon Network.
I was gonna say that
Yeah.
there's demographics for these things.
Yeah. I mean, have
Right.
you ever watched it now as an adult though? It's like so weird. It'll
Well,
be like shit like kids buy the latest awesome, and the next
Yeah.
commercial is like
All I
like,
remember is commercials
have you
yelling at
considered
me.
insuring your home against tornadoes? And it's just like, why is the what?
Yeah, I suppose I haven't been watching Fox Kids anymore like I used to.
Uh-huh.
As a
'Cause,
kid,
yeah, that
toy
was
commercials
just-
sounded like monster truck commercials.
Yeah,
Right.
they do.
Like all new
Bye.
squeeze it to put out the
Real
eye.
classic.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
Did any of you
shouting
guys
in
ever
like low
see
voices for no
BioBugs?
reason. Just
Yeah.
no-
Anyone
nonsense.
BioBugs?
That's what I haven't seen that in ages. Kind of know what
Wait,
you're
so
talking
you have
about.
seen BioBugs?
Yeah. But like
Yeah,
I
I
watched it
have
like
one.
twice and I was like, oh, that's not for me.
I have the red one. Of course, I was like really little when I got them, but all my friends had one. So
Yep.
it was the closest thing we had to quote unquote real life, you know, battling robot animals, I suppose.
Yeah, I
And,
think I had a blue one and I could never get it to
really?
work.
You see, so the blue one was Stomper, mine was red, so it would have been called the Predator. I suppose they
Uh-huh.
were supposed to have different stats, like yours
Yeah, it
was
was supposed to have
supposed to
different
be
behaviors.
especially strong,
Mhm.
and mine was supposed to be exceptionally aggressive, I believe. But
Yeah.
so they have the antenna, and if you woggle the antenna too much, they freak out because they're like, I'm bumping into something, oh no! And if you ever set two of them on each other, one of them would have its antenna battered into submission and it would go backwards while squealing. And the other one would have an electric guitar rock dance going on and go beanie, meanie, meanie. And it would just wiggle back and forth with its
We
legs.
are now trapped in the
So
What?
so
This
they're
is
ro-
the Shell
nostalgia.
nostalgia power
yeah
hour.
they're
It's
like
kinda cool.
they're robot bug like Beyblade Roombas.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's exactly how you can describe
they,
them.
They walk around, they bump into walls, and if they realize they're bumping into something, they back up and they go a different direction.
Yeah.
But you can
They have,
level
like,
them
AI.
up. Their,
Yep.
their eyes would change colors depending on how many victories they had experienced.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
get those kids stuck on the Skinner box early.
Oh.
Get them set up for a gambling addiction later.
I mean, that was the era of Tamagotchi. So,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Tamagotchi and like
I dropped
just
mine.
wanted
I dropped mine in the
robotic
sink.
pets.
What?
probably a good plan.
My Tamagotchi was doused.
I
Nice.
never had a Tamagotchi. I had
Koof murdered
a
his
terrible
Tamagotchi.
Yep.
Tamagotchi ripoff that McDonald's had, you know, had in their Happy Meals.
Oh no.
So it was just, it
Forgot
was
about
just a static image.
Tamagotchi.
It
Uh-huh.
was a static image on a Tamagotchi like device, but it wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, you just have
So-
basically a keychain, a Tamagotchi keychain.
These types of
Yes,
conversations
I
always
have-
make me feel like a weird kid because I don't think I played with toys as a kid. Like just
Yeah,
in
Really?
general.
We know.
Like I had video games really early, and that was about it.
I had a lot of toys. I mean, at first it was like Disney playsets, but then there were like these little dogs that you could buy at the 7-Elevens.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. They were tiny little plastic dogs, and they had like a house and everything that you could get for them. But then later on, yeah, I'd gotten into Bionicle. I've obviously had a lot of Beast Wars Transformers, specifically the Transmetal ones. They just don't make toys like they used to. Like
Nah.
the paint jobs, the working parts, the plastic.
Wow, there's not too much else to toys than paint jobs and working parts. So,
No.
And radiation
No,
and lead poisoning
the models, the functionality,
and
the
dreams.
sculpting. What?
nothing.
What they do is they murder smaller children and infuse their dreams directly into the toys. That's the magic.
Yes.
Oh man, that's actually a very pointed commentary on like child labor that I'm not willing to get into right now.
I was
I'm
I was
willing
actually
and
hoping
able.
you'd pick up on that.
Yeah, no, that's sadness.
So, like,
right, so
as a
Wander
kid,
had-
I'd watch commercials where two boys like
Never mind.
have like Ninja Turtles toys and they're smashing them together and shouting and shit. I'm like, I don't understand. Even as a kid, I'm like,
Speech
what are they doing? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Who's getting points? I was already playing like Duck
Yeah,
Hunt
They're
and
just
stuff,
supposed to
and, like,
use their imaginations, and
yeah,
you don't have one.
I never
clearly.
did.
Yeah,
Literally,
I mean, a lot of people in-
me playing with toys was having an RC car, and it was one of those fun ones where if you flipped it over, it could just keep going. And that was
We had a
toys for
Stuart
me.
Little one,
Damn.
and it broke. The Stuart Little car just broke.
Oh, yeah,
and
Stuart Little
there's,
was a
like-
thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had the remote control car of Stuart Little, and it doesn't really run well anymore. That's sad.
Just like Stuart Little, because he would be dead by now.
Yeah. Very dead.
Take
Yeah.
that,
Good.
rat lifespans.
He
All
was
right,
a
Wander,
mess.
you had a topic you wanted to get on to
Okay.
about indie game marketing. Yeah.
Sort
wow,
of,
I
yeah.
But
I-
children's toys.
I-
Never mind.
No. When we
It's-
buy children's toys for the podcast, we can discuss children's toys for the podcast.
Oh, we have Rhinox right
Be a
here.
great visual topic for all the stuff that where none of us can see each other.
Rhinox.
Yep.
Yeah. But so I've been going on the. I'm not even going on the game dev subreddit. It's there, and I will occasionally like read threads out of sheer curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. Mm-hmm.
And some are good, some are kind of bad. But I guess to preface, for a lot of us, I guess everybody here but Chelle, we all started on the Let's Play subreddit.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that's how I met both Bird and Keith. Though
I didn't start there though.
no, but you were on their IRC, and that's how I met you.
Yeah.
And then you found me completely separately, not knowing you already knew me, and then contacted me about stuff. I don't know how that happened, but all right.
I've explained it. It's pretty straightforward. I browsed an IRC for a little bit, mainly related to when I was going through a problem with the Smasher Seal people going after me for copyright stuff, and then immediately after that never really came back and didn't remember any of the names on the list of people talking.
Fair enough.
I just didn't record in my head who the people's names were in the chat room, so I didn't think I'd ever encounter them again.
But
Apparently, I can encounter
so-
all of them again forever.
Yep.
Yeah. But so, let's see. So, we all started on the Let's Play subreddit, and one of the biggest issues with that place is a lot of like small channels being like, you know, how do I
become Markiplier?
Yeah, more or less. A lot of people that desperately want to be a large YouTuber, but either don't put the time and effort forward, or any number of things, really.
The funny thing is, I hadn't even heard of Markiplier until like a year ago.
Well,
is
you're
Oh,
also
poor Markiplier.
yeah, poor Marky.
He's really hurting.
Yeah.
He'll just cry into his money. His tons of money.
It is a lot of money. But so, out of curiosity, every once in a while I'll read threads on game dev, and I've noticed I'm not even going to say a disturbing trend, it's an unsurprising trend lately, of almost word for word the complaints that Let's Players use from game developers. And I always assumed that game development was like a little bit better understood. You know, you actually have to have a marketing budget. You actually
so you're
have to
going
do
into
these
the
things.
game dev place and seeing all the same trends of people talking about not being discovered and stuff like that, and how
Yeah, it's like word for
no
word.
kidding. Mhm.
because everyone,
like-
because if you've ever been to Let's Play, people in the audience, the entire Let's Play subreddit is completely filled with people who think they're absolute geniuses that have never been discovered for how high quality their content is and how special they are.
Yep.
I mean, this almost harkens to, you know, people who way back in the day had very low budgets to make B-level films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's how you got things like American Graffiti and stuff, where, you know, budding actors coming off with their like first feature films, and you know, then they become huge stars with something else.
Yeah. But what were the two threads I was thinking of? There was one where a developer had put up a screenshot of specifically what happens during a Steam sale, and it was like very low flat line, bump, slightly bigger bump, and then back down to the exact same flat line.
Yep.
And
So they're attributing Steam sales to sales.
yeah, I mean, it was sales, but they made less money, but people knew about it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like the discussing the merits and the detractions of, you know, a Steam sale.
It's actually amusing how much video game sales for an indie game can look a lot like our own analytics of like how views go.
Oh, absolutely.
And like
Yep.
we can
Yes.
see little spikes when certain memorable things happen for the channel and stuff like that.
Yep.
But one of them actually that I remember seeing was an article that was being shared from Kotaku, I think, or whatever. An interview with the people that made the game Brigador. Now, I haven't played Brigador, however, Keith has, so he can
Brigador.
tell you if Brigador was any good or not. But they were talking about how, like, they had spent, like, 4 years developing it, and it was, like, 3 people, and it, like, failed miserably, and, like, here's kind of why, and all this stuff, and I was sitting there reading this article as one of the people that had legitimately been looking forward to it, and maybe I'm a bit guilty because I never bought it, but they sent me my press copy for it 2 months late.
Just
Like,
to
they
be clear,
responded
did,
to my email
did you
2
say
months later.
Brigador?
Yeah.
I literally have that article open right now in front of me.
Yep.
They even have a thing where they talked about their early access. It shows their sales history, and it shows their early access launch. One specific spike for the Giant Bomb Unfinished episode they got, like their Giant Bomb feature. Just flat line all the way up until like a recent post they made explaining why the game's $20, which came out like 6 months later. And, like, I even played the game right at launch, because I got a code right away, and I was like, yeah, this seems neat. It's like, it seems like somebody had a vision and wanted the game to feel a really specific way, and it looks a really specific way, and it feels unique, even though it's like a top-down shooter. It feels like you're driving these heavy tanks, and there's like collisions and like collapsing buildings, and it feels like a weirdly like feels like a weirdly weighty simulation, even though it looks like a 2D top-down game, and it looks like
So it's a Mech Warrior
Yeah.
clone.
Yeah.
It's really-
It's actually like a really interesting concept in the game. But save for like a little bit of here and there, they had no marketing. And no like PR outreach, period.
Right.
I'd actually spoken with them several times before they even knew who I was. Like, they knew I was a YouTuber and I was excited for their game. And I think I'm still salty about this, but it's just surprising to see, you know, not just these guys though, talking about their indie games flopping and not really knowing why, and everybody's like, well, how much effort did you put into PR? And it's like, well, I just put it on Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
like
No.
I
You
made my
gotta
video
get-
9 months ago,
You have to go
and
to
for about
conventions and
6
stuff.
months it was on the actual front page of just searching that word on YouTube. And
No,
now
you gotta.
like,
so
there's just nobody else
If you're
covering
marketing a
it.
game, if you're making a game, you gotta get it in the hands of people that play it. Like, that's
Yeah.
like the basic rule of like marketing video games, at least like nowadays.
Oh yeah.
If I remember right, most AAA games' marketing budget is like 40% of their whole budget, or it's something
yeah.
really big.
Oof.
Because there's
Yeah.
so much competition.
And
There's
Yeah.
tons of competition, and like it takes you have to like make millions to like really be successful at the indie game level. Like, it's not
Yeah.
enough to break even with the next Call of Duty. The next Call of Duty needs to make like $200 million, like stuff like that, because that's how they can
it's gotta
move
fund
forward
the
as a
next one.
company to like fund the next
isn't
one.
at this point considered AAA, so that's what they expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Brigador's case, it was extra tragic or disastrous or a mistake or whatever, because after like 4 years of development, they launched right before E3
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just
So
like
nobody was
sealed
even
their
paying
fate.
attention.
I was the
And
only.
I mean, that's the one thing you can really control. Like, you can time your launch pretty well. Just
yeah.
you just wait a little bit,
I
Wouldn't
think
have
they
been
just
better
launched when
off
they were done.
presenting at E3?
which is a
Yeah.
terrible idea. You have to time your market. You need to release way far away from E3, way
And the
far away.
Steam sale. You cannot
No,
be
never the
close
Steam
to
sale.
the summer sale or the
Nope.
Christmas sale. I've run
Yep.
into several developers that thought, oh yeah, I'll just put it up like
It's
July
the worst
4th.
idea. Literally, the
you'll never
front
make
page
any
of
money.
Steam completely changes, so you can't even see what new games are out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like-
I was actively trolling the new games listing just to see if I could find something cool.
Because
And I
you'd be
did.
the
There
only
were
person
actually
to
some
notice
really
it.
Good games. Yeah, I know. But like the games that did come out during that week, like some of them were legitimately good. They have like shit views because nobody even knows they exist.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's legitimately cool stuff out there that no one will ever notice. And no
That's
Kotaku
sad.
article is going to fix that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, it's really not.
It's
Like,
a fun story that goes on the front page of Imgur and stuff like that, and Reddit and everything for a bit, and then tomorrow it's forgotten again.
Yeah.
Which
Like
Which
a-
begs the question if people are really being like small fish in a big pond more so now with the digital age and global interconnectivity than if you were, say, a young entrepreneur in a, 1800s town, etc.
well, the video
Where-
games weren't
Right.
around in the 1800s, so
Yeah,
you really
I'm
have no
confused.
competition
I'm
at that
talking
point.
about, like, let's say that there was like a singer or a performer or actor or actress back then.
Yeah, that's where you get the bubonic and then problem solved.
Ugh,
Aw.
I don't mean that.
We basically had two things change back to back. There was one thing that happened is that the moment the internet took off, exposure skyrocketed. So anyone who was already doing stuff around then, bam, suddenly had a massive exposure. But then shortly after there, a lot of different industries had, especially entertainment-related ones, had their barrier for entry drop. And that meant that everybody flooded in and was doing the thing at the same time, when whether they were good or they're bad or whatever you want to say about like how competently programmed Minecraft may or may not be or something like that. But like a lot
Yeah.
of people could suddenly make stuff, and
Yeah, it's
that
like
makes it really hard
it used
to
to
get
be
out.
like the Unreal Engine cost like $300,000 to license.
Yeah.
Now it's free.
Whoa.
And like your average person can name like your average person can probably name like maybe like 20 Let's Players total and can think of like 5 indie games that come out a year probably. But
Yep.
there's thousands of both,
Yep.
and you can't see that or know it's happening until you try to make either of those things and then see that, oh, right, I'm invisible. And then your Brigador, a mech shooter that took a ton of work and was just a listing on Steam that sank to the bottom of the list and then was forgotten.
One thing I
That's
wonder,
sad.
going off of that point, a lot of YouTubers don't watch other Let's Players. A lot of game developers are too busy to play other games. I wonder if part of the problem is they're literally not aware, just like you said there, they are not aware of how much competition they have.
Oh no,
And
there's
then
no
they-
way to know.
Then they find out after the fact. I mean, there's plenty of ways to know, but obviously,
But you have to
paying
know,
too much
you
attention.
kind of have to know in advance about the concept of that being true to even know to look to know.
yeah.
I think that
The most common
another
thing about
thing
indie game
that's-
development is people making these things and then just thinking they're going to succeed because of course their game's going to get purchased by people, right? They don't need
Yeah.
that many sales to break even, right? And then
I
they
was
find
gonna
out what
say,
happens
I
when
think
none
that-
of those sales happen at all.
I think that there's also this issue where in the indie game scene, a lot of people believe that if they make a quality product, the customers will just come to it. And, like, that sometimes happens. Like, Stardew Valley, zero marketing, and it took off.
It actually had more marketing than you thought.
Really? How much did it have?
It was also tied to Chucklefish, which was...
that's true.
Is a substantial amount of marketing, even, like, by itself.
That's true.
And, I mean, I'm just going to keep throwing praises at it for a bit. Stardew Valley also released in kind of our market void.
It did, exactly.
Harvest Moon has been... I'm not going to say a failing.
Oh yeah, wow!
game.
Stardew Valley is tied to like Risk of Rain and Starbound's company.
Yeah,
that's no small thing.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's what confused me about Brigador. Is I was surprised with something that took that long to make. I was kind of surprised they didn't try to reach out to somebody, or maybe they did, but I'm just surprised they didn't end up with a connection to some publisher like Adult Swim Games or
I'm sure they probably did and decided not.
What's the other top
publisher.
indie?
I see.
What's the other indie one?
Devolver Digital.
Devolver Digital. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was surprised that kind of game didn't end up with one of those companies because it seems to be.
I'm sure they probably got an offer and then didn't take it up.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Devolver publishes quite a lot, but like, they actually don't take anyone. They actually have kind of a baseline quality.
I'm just saying,
anyway,
the weird thing the thing that's specifically weird about the release of Brigador is that it has that level of ambition and like fidelity to everything and like vision to it, and then that made it all the more surprising that it's not attached to anything at all. That no one picked them up to make that thing go somewhere, which kind of makes me wonder if they didn't network at all.
Maybe not. But
apart from the subreddit, not really.
There's a belief in the indie game community that, like I said, like if you make a quality game, like the customers will come to it, because that's kind of what a lot of indie game successes feel like if you're not paying attention. Like,
which is not, it's a
like,
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Braid, that was hugely successful. I don't remember any commercials for Braid.
It's like the definition of confirmation bias,
Braid,
right?
Yeah, they're like, if I make something as good as Braid, which of course I will, because I'm an awesome game developer.
Yeah, I think the problem is there are two ways people make it to the top. One is you become viral, and that's the way everyone hopes things will go. Like, suddenly they're noticed by everyone, and they just skyrocket, and that's it. They're done. They have everything made. And then there are other people that really have to put their nose to the grindstone and work, hours, days, months, years, etc. every single day. Yeah, just toiling with the hopes that what they're producing will eventually get that notice. But the way that they actually acquire the fan base is because of their consistency and the work that they do put into it. And sure, it's slow going, but eventually they make it there. But yeah, I noticed that a lot with artists too, because I mean, obviously being an artist myself and working on the DeviantArt community and other places, there are people that, I mean, they could have been working at a AAA company for years, and then they're relatively obscure when they get on the scene, but then they have this amazing artwork to show, and they aren't noticed up until they really start creating that fan base all over again. And then there are the people that have been toiling from the bottom, and they make something of themselves with a webcomic or a series of illustrations and such. And sort of like YouTubers, you have people that are millionaires from that as well. And it's just really interesting seeing how similar those fields are in general.
It's actually, I mean, art, like you just mentioned, game dev, and like YouTubing, and like I heard her talking about art, and I was thinking, it's like, yeah, this is pretty much just exactly what I went through.
Because you have watchers, you have subscribers, you have...
It's just every field that's entertainment related where the actual barrier for entry and exposure is super low, so everyone, or quote unquote everyone, is doing it, which is why no one can really break through in reality.
Interesting.
It's that thing where like people... No, it's like I'm not saying that literally no one gets out, but it's just that it's this sort of thing where every time there's any breakout hit in any industry, successful. People only see the success and they don't understand that person escaped from like the threshold of a mausoleum.
Yeah, pretty much.
where like hundreds of
That
other
is-
people did not go anywhere that did almost the same thing.
It's a damn good metaphor.
There are talented people who sit in the corner and do nothing
their ass
forever.
off.
Like no one
Yeah.
finds them. They either work their ass off and nothing happens, or they squander it one way or another, or they don't quite market themselves, or they just get unlucky. Like I get really weirded out when I look at subscriber counts for YouTube channels that I've been following for years and see that I've passed some of them.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Uh,
that's how big their channel's been this whole time?
I don't know. You guys
You're
probably
half as
don't-
big as Aaron's Signal.
That's weird.
Yeah,
That's
right?
weird.
They only have 80K. He only has 80K.
I was gonna mention, Sleep Cycles, right? The guy who's kind of like overshadowed my roguelike career for like years.
Yeah, you
do
you
you
have
mean
like 10,000 more
overshadowed?
subscribers than he does.
I got 10,000 more than him. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Aaron
I didn't
Signal's
even
sitting
know
at
until we
88K right now.
I didn't even know until we started playing together. And then we were talking, and he's like, yeah, you passed me. I'm like, what? And so I looked him up after the fact. I'm like, oh, that's just a darn shame. Because, like, I really like Sleep Cycles, and it's weird to pass people that, like, I respect.
But with YouTube, is it really subscribers or is it views?
I more than
Views.
double him in views.
Because I could understand how subscribers would hint you a more stable fan base in a way, because you're guaranteed to have
Nah.
more of those people see your film, sort of.
I mean, the more
But
subscribers
there are a
you
lot of
have, the
people
more
that-
potential exposure each individual video gets, but you have to be constantly appealing to what they look interested in, or they won't even try to look at any of the stuff
Right.
you're uploading.
Yeah,
right?
like,
And then there's a lot of people who don't care to subscribe to anyone,
Yeah.
but they're still watching.
Like there's
Yeah.
always,
Or
like,
they
the,
did-
the,
they
like
don't
the old
wanna make an
example we've
account.
always had was that with sad games, we had a absolute takeoff series for Tokyo Jungle, and every time we uploaded a video of that series, within 24 hours it would already have 1,000 views consistently, and we could take 3 months off between episodes, and somehow the moment it got uploaded, everyone would click on it. So like clearly these videos are being delivered to people. But if we say went back to our usual stuff of like shitting on Sonic games and stuff like that, the video would get like 50 views.
Yeah.
And like the gulf was massive. Like you have to, it's not enough just to get subscribers, you have to actively appeal to those people or they just will not click on any of the things you're uploading.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I suppose it must be difficult for people who, I mean, you guys were talking about branding at least with the title, but that's beside the point. People who accidentally find themselves thrust into niches that they didn't intend or
well,
want.
I mean,
Or enjoy.
Let's
That's a hard one.
let's talk
that's
about
the story of a
like,
Let's Player, of every Let's Player. Is that you
Yeah,
upload videos
like-
and some of them accidentally take off that you don't expect, and then you find yourself wondering if you need to appeal to that demographic or keep doing what you're
Like-
doing.
My most popular series / video ever was a Patreon monthly series. Never Leave Sanctuary was something I read about when Fallout 4 came out, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a neat idea. I'll probably never do it, or like, maybe I'll do it someday.
Because
And
at the
then,
time you didn't even
Omni,
like Fallout 4, so
No,
it's like,
I
why
hate
would I
Fallout.
play Fallout 4 for a challenge now? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
As far as games go, from last year, Fallout 4 is actually probably one of the most disappointing to me.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
yeah.
because
Mhm.
it's such a
All
mishmash
of us have terrible
great
opinions
ideas.
of that game.
Yep.
I'm the only one that
It's
finished
such
it,
a-
though.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I have unique
it's a-
and extra opinions to also not like it.
I get a lot of people who are really angry at me for not knowing what I'm doing in Fallout, and I'm like, I just don't care, man.
It's not my... You all came to me.
Yeah, but, like, literally, Omni in my chat came up with it. And, he's like, hey, you should do something like this. And I, like, modified the idea a little bit to match the article I read, years ago. And now it's my most popular thing ever, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just stuck with this. Hopefully other people still like my other stuff, though. And, like, to some degree, yeah, but the crossover is surprisingly low sometimes.
And it's a
Yeah,
hard thing to reconcile sometimes, because, like, with sad games, we would mostly play bad games on purpose and Sonic games and stuff like that and just screw around and have fun with that, and then Tokyo Jungle took off. With you, for years, like, you would almost exclusively play, like, roguelikes and indie games and stuff like that, but a huge emphasis on, like, all these permadeath games, because you loved not having to do a continuous thing and just stopping after every session and everything. But
Yeah.
for a while there, some of your most popular things ever were like Holy Potatoes, a weapon shop,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Scrap Mechanic, and none of these things tie into like the thing you were doing with all the other
Oh, yeah.
videos on your channel.
Yeah, the original core concept of like what I do is broken and missing, and also hurts.
Oh, yeah.
It hurts specifically to be tied to one genre, though. Which is why I'm kind
Hurts
of
to
happy
be tied
that
to
I
one
was-
game.
Yeah.
That's
That
really
too.
rough when you're in that position.
I love Scrap Mechanic, but it's going to be a long time before I find an alternative to it because there's nothing else that catches my fancy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
and, like,
Rocket
there's
League
Terra
for a
Tech.
lot of people was a
Yeah.
big
yeah.
like sink.
Or every
DayZ.
Minecraft person.
Oh, Minecraft has at least some good alternatives. Like if you can make the crossover to Terraria or Starbound, that kind of helps.
Also, at least Minecraft doesn't seem to age.
Yeah,
Yeah, weirdly
It's like
enough.
Legos.
it ages very slowly, but
Yeah, I find it interesting how I could spend hours and hours on fully rendered digital paintings, not only of my own original pieces, but also like the very rare fan art of like a character that I adore. And some of them, sure, they would get the views and stuff, but the ones that have the most views are my quick, like monochromatic sci-fi armor sketches. And I go, what? Why do people like these so much? I barely spent any time on them.
easily digestible content. That's
Yep.
why people like Scene Enders, for example, exist in the YouTube like arena.
Take that, Scene Enders.
I mean, no. Scene Enders has like a lot of other merits, but specifically Scene Enders is famous not because of his long ass Call of Duty videos that he used to do or anything like that.
For some reason, when you say sea nanners, I always think of bananas, and I don't know why.
I
because of
mean,
nanners.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because of the nanner part.
He's the nanner of the sea.
Banana.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But
what?
like, I think he specifically got popular mostly because of like a couple of Gary's Mod
Gmod.
things a long
Yep.
time ago.
Yeah, it's like
and now-
gassy Mexican doing like the voice acting the Morgan Freeman Gmod thing.
The I can see
Oh,
you
sorry.
thing.
Do I need to be
I can
closer to the
smell you.
microphone?
Oh yeah, I can smell you. No, I can't do it.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
No-
I'll get closer
nobody
to the
can. He
microphone.
can.
I just like sitting in my
Yeah.
chair.
I can
But
smell you. Well, that doesn't beat my Murloc impersonation.
Speaking of things you do that sound like other people, that's the exact sound that Jeremy from Achievement Header makes when he goes into beast mode in every time in Grand Theft Auto 5.
He sounds like a Murloc.
He makes that exact sound where it's like three or four consecutive like weird like gargle roars. Do you have like a chip in your brain that's slowly downloading internet stuff that you're not actually watching yourself, but it's like incorporating itself into your behavior? And
Apparently.
you're just like leaking out like Bumblebee trying to talk in the Transformers movie. Like just entirely through
Damn.
other people's actions.
Wow, that was a
Actually-
sick-ass reference, bro.
Yeah.
Wander and I have a language that we only use in the presence of one another, and
rather not talk about
The
this.
language of love.
No, I really want to talk about this. Chelle, you're a very special person. Go.
So when I was young, I absolutely loved animals. Absolutely loved animals. My friends and I would like pretend to be animals, like the whole Lion King thing. Remember how I broke my collarbone in 3rd grade because I was playing Lion King on the playground?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
So, in any case, I just found it convenient to relay my emotions with mouse. I literally called them mouse. And I actually had a sci-fi comic book that I had done in 5th grade. It's really cute. I want to go back and redesign all the characters and stuff because it was just... you know me, I'm too serious a person. So my character was like the really stern captain of the ship. And then my friend who had like co-written it with me was the complete ditz. And then we had our various alien friends. And one of them looked like, what was Agumon's smaller form when he was just like a bouncing head thing?
Oh, no.
Do you remember?
Chibi-mon.
Well, right. So
I
Kickball
played
Mon.
Pokemon like
I
everybody
designed
else.
we had something very similar to that, and his name was Milo, and all that he could say was Mao. and there are different types of mouse. And I, of course, had figured out how they would sound. And then I actually started developing as like a form of communication, because there's like meow, and then there's meow, and all these other different types of mouse. And if you want to get someone's attention, you go meow meow. And if you want to do a sultry one, you go meow meow. You know, like various weird things. So in any case, there were the mouse, and my mother looked at me.
Go get a cookie.
What's up with you?
I don't want to be here for this.
I feel like a year down the line, we're gonna find out about how Mao's been incorporated into the bedroom.
Wait, what? No. Don't go there. In any
Scare
case,
them both away at the same time.
So,
the top camera
my
of the
mother-
podcast will just be empty.
yes, it is. It is, at least with Wander. Wander's gone. He's embarrassed.
It's fine.
So, my mother, this was like middle school, high school, whatever. Like, first off, everyone thought I was never, ever going to have a boyfriend because I was just staunchly against the idea of dating because, ew, boys only want one thing kind of mentality. And I was like, no, I'm above all that. Well, in any case, so my mom looks at me and she
Your
goes,
poor sheltered
Chelle-
childhood.
she goes, no one's ever going to date you because they don't want to hear you making those weird noises. Like, I can't even understand what you're trying to tell me or say. And I was just like, but I like the Mau Maus. So I started dating Carl, and he had this thing where he likes me being indignant. That's what he said. He's just like, you're cute when you're indignant. So whether it be like a random poke or a tickle or who knows what, if I...
you know what.
What?
Chat, specifically Wander's chat, I want you to remember this entire conversation forever. And use it.
This needs to be nightbotted. We need a Mao command.
Because now there's going to be Mao showing up in chat. And I love that.
Okay,
So,
continue your story, Chelle.
and I would make... So if he was being annoying, which he is, everyone knows that he's super annoying. He likes to torment people, usually in a hilarious fashion, but he just, regardless.
Even if he's the only one laughing.
Right, precisely. So
That just means you need to lighten
He
up,
liked embarrassing me and stuff, and I would go, like, hey, get away from me, kind of stuff. And he's like, those noises are cute. And that's how Mau Maus are adopted. And now, hopefully, Mau Maus will exist forever. Though, I don't know if they will now.
All of Wander's chat right now is just Mao and Cat Kappa.
I need to pop into the Wander chat real quick. I have to see this. Alright.
Now keep this up for about 6 months.
We don't do the E's, guys. No, meow. It is just
I mean,
Mau.
their average age is about 14 or 15, so a lot of them are going to do it wrong. You just have to accept that about Wander's chat.
Yeah.
They're not a subtle crowd.
Yeah, that's actually how we greet each other in text messages
Oh my god,
too.
it's going faster.
Right. So you just go meow with a question mark,
Jesus
and that's
Christ.
how. What?
Just watching chat right now is just a nightmare.
Oh wait, no, you're spelling it the wrong way, Bird. It's not like, Mao the dictator of China.
Oh, excuse me.
Whoa. Whoa.
What is it then?
It is literally
Next time we play a
MOW.
strategy
I
game
think
with you,
everyone got it
Wander,
right.
like if we play Stellaris or something, you're gonna have to name your main character General Mao.
I mean,
I don't actually know how to Twitch emote. There we are. Got it.
Oh, this is my new favorite thing.
Wait, what's everyone's favorite thing?
No, nothing. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. And nobody likes anything about anything. It's fine.
Yeah, we're all very spiteful people.
Yeah.
Oh wow, they actually put a Mau Mau Nightbot
Fucking-
thing.
Yes, it's spreading. We're ruining. We are just ruining Wander right now.
okay. I've cookie go. It's
Well-
so
He
good.
has cookies, so it's okay.
I was proud when I could go back to my mother and say, you were wrong.
I found a man who
Wrong
likes
about-
my
you were wrong
mouse.
about- all the mouse.
There's 117 people in his audience right now.
And
they're
it's
all-
fucking nonsense.
They're like, meow, 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 meow.
The sad thing is, this is probably going to have a resurgence in like a year when I have like 700 people or something like that.
Yeah. Or
And then
if
it's gonna be a
ever
serious
get really
problem.
famous and you have your own like subreddit and stuff, someone's gonna dig up this podcast 2 years down the line. And it's gonna it's gonna research itself over and over again.
Sorry.
It's okay, Wander. It's the best problems to
Sorry.
have.
Wait, so how do we get to talking about mouse?
It doesn't matter. Don't
Do
worry
we even
about it.
want to try to backtrace that from there? Something about Brigador and failed dreams.
Yeah, we're talking about failed indie games.
Okay, so I'd actually like to go back to that topic for one more thing. I don't know
Okay.
if you guys saw, but the Completionist actually had a big long rant that was talking about how the YouTube algorithm has changed for the worse, specifically in relation to people like him, quality content, and so on and so forth. And that if it wasn't for people like donating money and Patreon and stuff, he probably wouldn't be able to keep doing it.
That sucks.
Now, you guys know who the
Let's take a look at
Completionist
his
is, right?
channel to see if that's a realistic claim.
It is not. It depends. Okay.
Because it doesn't
So
sound
for
very
people-
realistic.
For people that don't know the Completionist, he's been on Game Grumps a couple of times now. He's fairly internet famous amongst the like Nintendo console crowd. Kind of the peanut butter gamer.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't
the
release-
completionist only
like,
gets
releases about once a week.
the completionist only gets like 4 times the views per day that I get.
Yeah.
200,000
So
views
So
for
yeah,
one video
he
a week.
probably needs to donations to keep going because he
Yeah, I was
has.
gonna say that's
mul-
actually a pretty reasonable.
they're a multiple person channel.
Is the Completionist
it's
actually
one
multiple
person.
people? Yeah.
Yeah, completionist is one person.
He's one person. No, admittedly, he
Oh
also
right,
has
the other
separate-
guy's gone.
Yeah,
There was another guy for
there is
years.
a duo. There is a duo commentary channel, Super Beard Bros, which gets like less than 1 million views per month. And that's a separate thing. And he's also partnered on Twitch and streams presumably frequently. So I'm having a hard time totally going with the whole like woe is me thing. However, his peak period was about 4 million views a month, and he's at about half that now.
Yeah, he's got 2 million views a month, and they rent an office space that they also rent out space to Jesse, Cox, and Dodger.
Yeah,
It's like they have
So, like-
overhead costs to deal with for what they do right now.
Yeah, like I'm sure it's expensive, but I was sitting there wondering, like, how is this so substantiated? Like, why is somebody I'm going to say as venerated as the Completionist talking about this sort of thing? And so obviously looked at that information, and a lot of it has to do with tags, title, and description, which for Keith and myself especially, pretty bread and butter. Bird, I think you finally figured it out and started listening to Keith. Okay, good.
Isn't it interesting
there's a lot-
how huge channels just completely skip over all elements of that,
Oh, yeah.
and they just assume they'll coast forever?
Yeah,
I mean,
I've started.
some can.
I mean, I've automated the process of generating tags at this point because it's very formulaic.
Oh, right. You did like the big old programming thing.
Yeah. So I've automated thumbnails and tags.
The other thing I was looking at was, most of the games he covers at this point are old, or when he does cover them, they're a couple months old.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like a big angry Let's Play thread where everybody was calling him entitled. I was sitting there thinking about it, and I was like, he's not half wrong about the whole, like, YouTube doesn't really help the big review thing. But it was just interesting to listen to somebody who, I mean, I would say is widely regarded as an expert in the field being really upset, and then looking at his metrics and being like, I'm actually, like, I get half of his views.
Yeah,
And I am 7.5% of his current size.
and you don't make
which
that
was really
much,
weird to me.
All things considered, I mean, you
Yeah,
probably get more views per day than Super Bunny Hop because he's barely at 1 million
Yeah, maybe.
Huh.
for a month. I mean,
Let me look.
so that's like that all sounds insane to me to even think about that stuff. Like he's up there with 220,000 subscribers, and he's one of my favorite channels, and I'll probably catch up with him in a year.
Yeah,
Not in
I get more
subscribers,
views than...
it's just the reviews don't get that many views overall because it's one video every week, or slower than that in many cases, and you're just trying to make that work.
Ooh. Okay, couple of things. So
How
for
did you get
starters,
the
I
view
actually get more views and I'm growing faster than Super Bunny Hop, which is really weird. He's also claimed by Maker, which means he's making substantially less than I am too.
I always wonder about that
which
with
is-
larger audience channels, though, because on one hand they're giving away a percentage of their profits, but on the other hand, supposedly those types of companies are also supposed to help you sell better ads in the first place, so you're also making more money at the same time.
Oh,
Which
that
it
reminds
muddies
me.
the math.
I
a
mean,
little
most
bit.
people have only really used them for like copyright protection, but that seems to have kind of died down a little bit.
It's really too bad that you guys can't do ad targeting based upon what you have as your content, because
You can.
I've come on and I've seen like razor blade commercials for women, like, you know, I'm
Oh.
your Venus, that kind of stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
Well, part of how Google works is in AdSense and everything is that they're constantly watching you when you use your computer, basically, and they're targeting you with ads. There's websites you can go to where Google where you can try to figure out what Google thinks you are, like what age and gender and everything that they think you are and your demographic. And for a lot of people, it's pretty accurate based on how much they know about you, and then they target the ads directly to you for higher effectiveness.
Well, thank goodness most of my ads tend to be movie trailers.
Because everyone watches movies. unless you're
that's
over
even-
60, then you're screwed.
No, specifically I get the sci-fi fantasy ones. Like, I've been seeing a lot of, what was it? There's some new Camelot, like King Arthur, something of the sword that's been going on. Definitely Star Trek. What other things? Some movie with the guy who's the new Professor Xavier in X-Men, but as some really creepy schizophrenic, I have like 27 personalities, kidnapping 3 girls for some nefarious purpose. I don't know. Interesting things, but supposedly that one's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
So what I'm getting from
So I
this is
don't
that your browser history is making Google think that you want to see stuff about kidnapping girls.
Yeah.
No. This is, I told you, the other ones were Star Trek and then the Camelot movie.
She
It must have
takes
just been,
everything
like-
so literally. It's great.
She does.
Everything,
know.
like she has to respond to it like it was a legitimate statement that I definitely meant.
Sorry. That's just how I am.
Yet, Chelle, I am
unfortunately.
not legitimately accusing you of having kidnapping fantasies.
I mean,
Or am I?
we should name our podcast Mal.
We should name our podcast Kidnapping Fantasies.
The Malcast.
We should
The
just name the
Malcast.
name of the podcast every episode.
All right. Well, I don't think anybody has anything else we want to talk about today, right?
I was curious if you guys have looked at the Great Whale Road at all.
I haven't even heard of it.
That.
Part of it, yeah. It's
that's-
okay.
I haven't played it yet, but I'm just taken aback by how quickly games. To be fair, I have not played it, so I can't judge it for real. But just on the outside, I'm looking at what it looks like. I'm always taken away by how quickly a game can look like it's derivative of another game. Because this game
Ouch.
looks like Banner Saga.
It
Almost
does look
weird
so much
it
like
is.
Banner Saga.
Like, the traveling is a profile shot of a ship going across water while the background scrolls behind it and stuff like that. Battles take place on a grid, and, like, the story or any narrative that happens seem to be a series of, like, tapestry writing in the middle of the screen that pops up where you pick an option, and then, like, in the corner of the screen it says how many days have passed. It's like...
Yeah, and it's all, like, medieval and, like, clearly based off of, like...
So it's
Viking
it's
stuff.
what happens if you take an inferior development company and have them try and take like Banner Saga's kind of core logic and turn it into a settlement management sim, but without doing any of the parts particularly well.
It looks
Ouch.
bizarre.
Also true.
I did one episode of it. It had kind of poor performance, which whatever. And then it
It sounds
proceeded
a little hard to do considering what it's doing on the screen. The idea that it performs
it's mostly
poorly.
just that it crashed and it forced me to start over entirely.
I thought you meant
Because
like
it
low
doesn't save
frame rate
well.
or something.
But,
even when you go to town, it's like a static image of like your camp or whatever with a series of circles on it that represent little things you can click on to make stuff happen. Just like how you would like train and rest and buy points or pass time in Banner Saga.
It's definitely like obvious that that's what they were going for. The problem is just ultimately the execution didn't match.
Yeah.
I played for 40 minutes and didn't even encounter combat. I have no idea what the combat's like.
Oh, it's a hex grid that's top down, and everyone looks like a cardboard stand-up on a plastic stand, like you're playing a tabletop game, and
I figured
they kind of slowly slide
this looks
around.
Exactly like the Banner Saga.
They look unlike the Banner Saga, though. The combat does not look animated.
Yeah,
it looks like you might as well be rolling dice on a table.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me when I see stuff like this, just because when I look at it, I'm like, this and everything about it just kind of feels cynical. Like,
yeah, it's a little bit soulless.
Like the whole thing that drew me to indie games in the first place, and back in the day when we were getting stuff for the first time, like Bastion or Fez or Braid and
World
Limbo and all these, World of Goo, insanely twisted Shadow Planet, From Dust. That was not an indie game. That's not a Ubisoft game, but just these smaller projects, like. They all felt like a crazy thing that was either a revitalization of a genre that hasn't been around forever or just someone's unique vision. And I get depressed when the indie market of all places turns into this place where your people almost look like they're just cynically remaking somebody else's product. And like
barrier to entry, dude. Barrier to entry.
Like even they barely even changed the theme in this case. Like they're wailing, of course, but like they just look like Vikings.
All they needed to do, if they wanted to make a game about whalers, was do it on the moon, and then it would have been perfect.
Yeah, moon whalers.
I mean, you say that jokingly, but like, I totally would play like a
whalers on the moon.
Ass, obviously Futurama-inspired, like moon Viking game.
In the 1960s, the food shortages required all the astronauts to go to the moon to do their whaling. Like, that would be awesome.
Have you guys seen anything from, what's it called? I played it recently, wonderful game. SteamWorld Heist. Seen any of that or no?
I saw previously recorded
Weren't we going to play that together, Wander?
It looked like a turn-based 2D game. I think it also launched on 3DS.
SteamWorld Heist is single player.
Oh.
I personally only played Dig.
So, at the end of SteamWorld Dig, world blows up. Spoilers. World blows up.
The game was like a copy of Super Motherload, so that does not surprise me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like Terraria-y with like sort of a Metroidvania-ish
you haven't played Super Motherload, have you?
Whoa, I just suddenly realized like the Terraria Super Motherload connection.
Yeah, if you play Super Motherload, you will realize how some of these games are just that game, especially SteamWorld Dig. It's actually kind of weird.
Alright, but so for end of SteamWorld Dig, world blows up, and they immediately transition over to a, well, not immediately, seeing as it took them a while to come up with the game, but SteamWorld Heist is like a, it's an XCOM, like Worms fusion, which is really strange. And the entire point of it is, like, you're kind of the, Robin Hood protecting, not moisture farmers, but, you know, moisture miners, effectively. It's really strange.
And it's a decent example. That game's a decent example of somebody actually having an idea they want to express, because it's got all these weird little quirks, like being able to shoot people's hats off to collect them, or being able to bounce ricochet shots around because they're lasers.
It's so good. And it was, like, weirdly fresh for something that was so derivative of two different games that I really enjoy. Which I was really surprised by.
If they mix in two games, that's how you find, like, new shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So.
But, like, it didn't feel derivative. It didn't feel like if you just kind of, like, hack-jobbed Worms and XCOM together. It actually felt like a legitimate thing.
I mean, I've always wanted to combine FTL with a JRPG, like Final Fantasy.
Oh.
Because I
played something like that recently. It was fucking atrocious. It was a zombie survival game. That kind of played like FTL. But with a Final Fantasy style combat system. Complete with prepackaged Unity assets.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
Every word of this is bad. I don't like any of the things you're saying. Stop
I
saying
felt really
them.
bad about it. I felt really bad about it. I played it and I was like, I think this is one of the first games that I regret trying to make an episode on. Like, there are some games where I'm just like,
I thought you did release it. Was it this one set in Canada?
fucking no, you're thinking Death Road to Canada. That's a unique, interesting one.
Okay.
What was the first
No,
game you
I don't-
completely gave up on trying to play without even putting out a video for it?
There was we did that with the Viking game.
Banjo.
Viking
Remember
game.
that, Wander? It was like
Zombie
God,
Vikings?
What was it?
No,
we,
not Zombie Vikings. That one's good.
Well,
we
Banjo-Kazooie
we
you gave
sold.
up because of
I
mod.
gave that game back after the first episode, and we never played it again.
I'm trying to remember. Was it?
It was the ones where like we could go into like a cave and like I don't know, man. Like everybody was like walking. It was a side scrolling game where we were both Vikings.
Oh, Niffelheim.
Yeah, Niffelheim.
Fuck that game. It was
Did you
awful.
did you ever upload
Niffelheim?
that? I never
Oh,
uploaded
yeah.
it.
It's on YouTube. Our raging. So
Oh,
fun
the
thing
realization
about Niffelheim,
moment.
it's launched with online multiplayer, but the enemies weren't aware of Bird's existence.
Yeah, they couldn't
So I
fight
would
me.
stand behind Bird, and Bird would just wail on them. Now, mind you, all of the enemies from the get-go are incredibly meaty and boring
no.
to fight.
Yeah, they're just
Um,
they're damage sponges.
So it would take like 2 minutes to kill a troll, and then we get the loot, and it would be like, well, I guess this is it. Now, you're also playing as these actually well-illustrated giant Viking guys who look like they're teetering forward at all times. They've got like the tiniest steps ever, and they're like super top-heavy looking, and it's just like, it was this weird mishmash of like relatively beautiful artwork and utterly uninspired, lackluster game design. And, like, I think
Sweet.
Splattercat had, like, 5 videos on it, and I was just like, how do you play this game? I did, like, one by myself, and I was bored, and then brought Bird on, and it was just garbage. And it was like, what?
The answer is a paycheck, Wander. A paycheck is how Splattercat
Like-
plays those games.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true. Like, Magicite plays better than this thing.
it
That's
does.
hard. Something. There's games that play worse than Magicite.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this
Oh,
is
no.
I mean-
this is real garbage.
Its netcode was at least, like, alright, a thing, but at the same
Its
time...
netcode didn't recognize me as a player to fight.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, but it didn't kick you out of the session or, like, warp you out of the world
That's
4
like the
times in a row.
netcode equivalent of you're playing the game and you're just streaming the game to Bird so he can play along too, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the
It, like,
is not
the one
communicating
time
back.
you and I... The
It's
one
like
time
a
you and
level
I tried
above,
to
like-
play,
you're playing a single player
Powerful.
game, and you give me a controller so I feel like I'm playing along.
Yeah, it's like you're doing the video game equivalent of tracing over his drawing.
except for, like, to be honest, Bird ended up doing more than I did
it's
because
true.
Yeah.
the player
was
character
invincible.
was, like, super vulnerable all the time. So I was just like, Bird, you do it. And he did. And he killed everything for me. And it's just like, I feel an intense disappointment.
We returned that game in 30 minutes of
I
buying
couldn't
it.
return it. They gave me a press copy, so it was like, well, I
Oh,
guess
well,
I
that
can't
works out
return
well
this
for
thing
you.
I didn't pay for.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well,
I
if you didn't
returned
pay for
it.
it's not too
So
bad.
for me, what happened is I tried to play Ether One on the PlayStation
Uh-huh.
4, and had several bad
Oh.
impressions very quickly. I was doing this because stuff like Talos Principle and Grimrock were doing well, and this was before Witness, but it was why I played Witness too. Is some people like to watch me play puzzle games, and I want to play Ether One. I gave it a shot. I'm like, it's vaguely Myst-like or something. It's a puzzle island of some kind, and I gave it a shot. First of all, within 5 minutes, the game crashes on PS4, straight to the dashboard, and I just relaunch the game. Then I get to this reception area where there's a little sign-in sheet where you can sign in at the receptionist, and they didn't properly implement it to have a in-game keyboard for a controller on the PS4.
Uh-huh.
So the keyboard, a screen pops up that has text on all the little buttons you can press and stuff like that, and it seems to expect you to just press keyboard buttons on a real keyboard. So what I found is if you hit A, it would select the current letter on the keyboard, but you'd have to then hit erase to unerase it, and then you had to press left, right, up, down, or whatever in whatever direction over and over again to try to get the letter you're trying to be at, because there's no reticle to say what letter you're currently
And you just-
highlighting.
You just gave up on it. Like you're like, I'm not getting past the screen.
You had to trial and error type your entire name out if you wanted to type your name on this thing, because of the fact that like we wouldn't tell you what letter you're currently highlighting, so you had to click on a letter and then backspace it out over and over again, and then keep feeling your way around the keyboard. But I got past that, and I moved on to the island and tried to move around, and ultimately why I gave up on the game was because I can't even judge the game's puzzles or anything to know if it's good at what it's trying to do, because I play games blind a lot just to just experience them from the get-go, because I don't like knowing about stuff that much in advance. I couldn't find puzzles. I was just walking around like paths and buildings and rooms and doors.
It was like the worst witness then.
I was just looking at scenery and I'm like, I can't find what...
It was like the worst missed witness thing.
I was just going crazy trying to find out what, like, obviously obviously Witness is super obvious because it has puzzle panels. You literally like drag a line around and stuff like that, and Mist is more obscure than that. But like, I couldn't find the things that you were trying to solve. Like, I couldn't find
the game in the game.
I couldn't find anything. The best I could do is that I found a couple of like luggage tumbler like locks on doors where you put in a number code, but I didn't have even the slightest hint after a bunch of running around what even like thing I would even use as a reference to try to use a number to find to input it as a code. So after like an hour, I just stopped and I deleted the game from my PS4 and deleted the footage, and it just never went up on the internet. And then, because I'm an asshole, I then took it to Andrew for Sad Games and had him play it.
Did he do fare any better?
Well done.
Not really, no. But it was really funny to watch him be mad at this game that I already knew was frustrating because of playing it myself. Because it just dumps you on an island, and I'm generally okay with figuring out obscure puzzles and stuff like that. But I go crazy when I literally am like, I don't know where the puzzle is or what the thing is I'm trying to go. Like, there's intuitive puzzles and unintuitive puzzles. An unintuitive puzzle is if like there's a painting of a woman, and if you press her right cheek, a lighthouse on the opposite side of the island will suddenly start working, or some nonsense.
Games that do that.
Like I made all of that up just now, but like that kind of stuff kind of happens in games.
Oh no, that happens all the time.
It's like crouching by a cliff at Deborah's Cliff in Castlevania 2. Like,
I was gonna say crouching at the cliff for 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's that kind of nonsense. Like, an intuitive puzzle is, hey, there's a door. How do I open that door? There's something behind it, so clearly I want to open that door. There, I have a goal. Now I figure out how to open that door. And like, you backspace.
Well, you have to
figure out your solution.
When you're making a puzzle game, you have to provide cause and effect.
Yeah.
Very obviously within a short window. Yeah.
Is that they could scatter clues and answers to a puzzle all around. But when you saw the puzzle in the flesh, you could look at it and be like, oh, wait, I understand that, back in this other area, there was something related to this. Yep. So that's why it was always good to keep, like, a notebook. Or in later games, they actually implemented a camera system. Yep. So you could take snapshots of things. But, yeah, I absolutely love the one in Riven. Yeah. With, like, there were animals that made noises. And you found balls that you could spin that had a symbol associated with them, but they made the noise when they spun. And then you realized you had to play a weird game to figure out what the symbols meant, and they were numbers. And then you used all of that information to solve a puzzle later where it had diagrams of the animals, and you knew that the numbers meant what order you had to press them in. And it was just like, yes, like that makes sense. And the way that you found out the number system was by playing a children's game that also tied into like the culture, where they were essentially ruled by the main characters, like not the one that you play as, but the main Atris, the man that you often speak with in the games. His father was ruling this one world named Riven with an iron fist, and he fancied himself a god. And there was sort of like a tribal population there. And he had these creatures called warks, I believe. And they looked like a cross between a marlin fish and a walrus and a beluga, if you could try to imagine that. And apparently they would feed dissenters to them by lowering them slowly into the water. and you played this game that was sort of a mock-up of the device that was literally outside the schoolhouse. And you would roll something akin to a spinner, and it would come up with the symbol, and you would just see how many ticks the person, like the little wooden character, would get lowered towards the very hungry wooden wark. And I was just like, wow. That's deep. Also scary, but it tells you a lot. And also it was fun encountering the animals.
I think I lost you at some point.
I was so lost.
I'm not sure what story
What?
just happened. I'm not.
Did I have to tell it in like
No,
chronological order?
No, I think we're just kind of podcasted out.
I think we are, and also, Chelle, your stories, you lack the basic human attribute of brevity.
I know, I always lack
Aw.
brevity. So that's why I'd be given an assignment in school, and I'd write, they'd be like, can you please write, a couple pages for your short story assignment? I'd write 20. I'd be like, yes, this is a masterpiece.
And your poor teacher's like, good God, I can't read this.
Oh,
A.
God.
No, they well, when I had to do handwritten assignments, sometimes they would grade me well, because they're like, we know you write so well. It's just too bad I can't read your handwriting, but I'll give you this and just type this out for me and give it to me later. And I'm like, why do I have such like small chicken scratch handwriting?
Now read it. Read it all.
All right, we should probably wrap this up, though, to move on to doing
as a closing thought
scrapping stuff.
on the idea of like these puzzle things. What I'm finding is that there's, because like obviously a lot of these 3D puzzle games like Portal, Talos Principle, Witness, they establish a very specific rule set, and they kind of stick with that rule set forever, because otherwise your player can get lost so easily in 3D space, because doing anything in 3D makes it easier to get lost. And I'm thinking of the two games I've played recently that constantly have brand new puzzles at around every corner, and like everything's changing, and you have to sort of intuit your solution based on new stimuli over and over again. They were both 2D because they were called Inside and Semaros 3. Like I think that's how you get things, how you get this to work. This weird form of not actually having one constant concrete structure for your puzzles is to have your fixed screen space where here's your weird features, and people have to observe these things because that's just what the screen is, and you can work within that confine, and you can keep having these intuitive brand new puzzles over and over again. Because if the moment it's in 3D, you can't control where people are looking, and then it becomes a nightmare of like, will they even notice the 5 elements that inform them what the puzzle even is in this room? And that's probably an element of what happened to me in Ether One. I'm like, this is a dock. Sure, is a nice dock made of wood.
Like a lot of like 3D games, what they'll do is like when you walk into a room for the first time, it'll take the camera controls away from you.
Oh yeah,
and it'll kind of do like these cinematic pans.
Every single game on the Nintendo 64
just so happen to conveniently show you like all the elements of the puzzle, and like stuff like that. Or I mean, nowadays it's a little bit more intuitive because usually it'll be like you open up a door into a hallway, and then in the center of the room, right in front of you, is like the puzzle, and like you're naturally guided visually and spatially, like, to go through the puzzle in a certain way.
Wait, are they really... Chat's making something called filibuster, where it's like, Chelle likes to talk. I don't know if I could ever perform a filibuster. I've noticed this happen in, what was it, Congress or the House or something?
Yeah.
But they have to stand for 16 hours. What's the time?
Oh,
the time doesn't matter. What a filibuster is when you want to avoid having a vote in Congress or something like that, because you know you're going to lose or something. So what they do is they waste time because you have to give people the floor if they want to talk, and it requires a ridiculous majority of votes in order to kick somebody off the stage when they're talking for Congress, basically. So what people do is they go up with like a storybook and song lyrics and all this other bullshit, and they just talk about nonsense, and they read Dr. Seuss, and they talk about their World of Warcraft character for like 10 hours, and just waste time because it's like a horrible, like fucked up part of our government.
I always thought that they had to write an immensely long essay and have a number of speakers.
No, it can
come
be
up
whatever
talking
the hell
about
you
the
want.
same thing.
They can just say
no.
nonsense.
You can say whatever
and
you want.
do.
You can even do silent filibusters where you don't even need to talk,
Yeah.
which defeats the whole purpose of the filibuster.
Yep.
I just remember seeing one where like the guy had to talk for that much time, but then also stand the entirety of the time. Like if you take your seat, it's
Oh yeah, you're
moot.
standing up at a
Yeah,
pew
you
at
have
the
to
front of
stand.
Congress because you're addressing Congress because everyone's supposed to be able to talk because that's part of democracy and
Yeah.
everything.
The
but
most,
people abuse it by just staying there just because the rule for stopping somebody from talking is like, I don't remember the exact rule, but it's something absurd like a 3/4 majority of voting just to stop someone so they can just put all of Congress on pause all day basically.
That's why when you hear about elections with like new senators or congressmen or whatever, the concept of being filibuster proof is particularly advantageous for
Yeah, if you have a 60% majority, the other side can't even filibuster you.
Oh yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
Because you can just vote out people who are filibustering.
I've never seen any reason why it should exist, really.
It's usually used very shittily. Like, the most famous example of the filibuster is when Strom Thurmond filibustered for over 24 hours against the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, just you discuss the topic and then you vote on it, and that should really that should be the whole process, more or less.
Ted Cruz filibustered Obamacare for 20 hours or something like that.
Wow.
Very famously as well, very recently. Which is like one of the longest filibusters ever performed. It's like top like 5 or something like that.
Yeah, that's like
Again,
a few
kind
steps
of
away from
used
being
towards a shitty purpose.
yeah, that's
There
a
were
few steps
ones-
away from being like a South Korean kid dying playing StarCraft in a cafe or something.
Yep.
Like that's that length of filibuster of like how does human continue to human that long while standing there?
Yeah, I mean, we think that
How
we're
do they
pretty
not shit
inundated with video
themselves?
games in the United States, but I wonder how things are in South Korea.
They probably just plug up like a
Yes.
bear.
You know, I wonder if there's a special filibuster diet. Like you walk into a specific diner in DC.
Filibuster
Bert, go
butt
figure this
plug.
out for me. Well, yeah, it's like a specific like wheat pasta diet or some nonsense like that, and it just blocks
we
you up
gotta
for like
cut the
3 days.
recording.
No,
Yeah, we
we
do.
don't.
Yes, we do. All right, welcome. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Butt Plug Podcast.
You're welcome.